This is Sybert signing in to Kane's Wrath on the map Forgotten Forest for the 2v2 Horse Discord Finals? I don't know, is Horse Discord a person, or is that like an organization? At any rate, we have a best of 7 finals on our hands. Kicking it off on Forgotten Forest on the left side as the purple GDI. This is ZTipzee. Their ally as the green nod. This is Phoenix. And on the right side as the red nod. Making up team number 2, this is BikeRushOwnz. Their ally as the yellow GDI. This is Senna. And as you can see from the text, these guys are smurfing, so not all of their names match up. But that is the deal. Now, of course, this was live cast by Green Zero and Master Leaf, so if you want to get the live flavor, see it kind of as it's happening, as it were, that is the place to do that. Now, this is a best of 7, and it's a pretty decently sized tournament as well. As I said, I'm not sure who/what horse is, or why it's called a horse, like Discord, okay, I know that, but anyways, Horse Discord tournament, but I don't know exactly what that means. But someone has put up $300 to be split between first and second place. So first place takes home $200, which presumably would be split evenly. But I guess maybe these guys have some kind of arrangement where they don't, but that would be pretty funny. At any rate, $200 to first place, $100 to second place. So, not bad for a day of Kane's Wrath. Show up, win some money, maybe walk away with $100 for yourself, and you got to play some cool games with your friends, all that kind of stuff. So, expansion timing's virtually the same. Ooh, that MCV taking a lot of damage from that one bike. Expansion timing's virtually the same, and this is one of those community maps, I believe, made by Predator, with the dual fields in the south. So it's a proper 2v2 map. And of course, this is what you commonly see, is people utilizing the build radius of their allies' MCV, so that only one person, the person in the south, is the one getting the actual expansion. Well, the build radius for the expansion. And then they both can benefit from it. It's a wonderful relationship there that can be beneficial to both players. As you can see, Refinery's getting dropped down, and Blue Tib in the middle as well as these two green fields. Been a long time since I've seen this map. I assume there are some other new 2v2 maps that we're going to be taking a look at over the course of this series. Pitbull's going to be coming in for ZTipzee, and Phoenix going to be packing along a couple of bikes and buggies as well. Beacon getting dropped by Bike Rush, and it looks like one Harvester will potentially go down here. Going to be trading out with some of these pit bulls as well. Harvester down to about half health, but deciding the military targets are the way to go. Splitting the attack between two different Harvesters means the damage is spread out a little more. Barracks are going to be coming down probably for some rocket squads to help deal with this. The panic is kind of setting in just a little bit here. Not too heavy of losses in the south, but the attack turns to the north. And of course, Bike Rush, master of defense in 1v1, master of not letting anything really get away from him. I mean, he can turn an impossible situation around. So we'll have to see how he does with the teamwork in a 2v2, because it's a different game than a 1v1. One Harvester taking a lot of damage for Bike Rush. His second one very low on HP. He dropped a laser turret as well. Again, not something you see very often. One Harvester does go down. A second one extremely low, and Bike Rush may actually have to sacrifice that guy to get the last couple of kills. Oh my gosh, just a pixel or two of health on that Harvester before it would have died. Another bike for Phoenix does show up, but no, the attack has been routed. Bike Rush and Senna push the forces back, and it looks like a Harvester going down in the south as well. So a little bit of trading places action, as it looks like Senna sent in a couple of pit bulls and was able to secure at least one kill there. Now back in the north, oh, it's just Tib field damage in the north. Nothing really to be worried about. Command Post and Tier 3 up for ZTipzee. So following up a big Pitbull bike buggy kind of a push with Tier 3, and then a second War Factory here in the south for Phoenix. So going to be pumping out that dual War Factory action. Lots of units swarming down to the southern half of the map. Airfield is up for Senna, that tier 2 there in prominent display, and tier 3 up for Bike Rush. So could be working his way towards teching up. This is a map with a ton of money between the fields. You can get a lot of income very quickly. And this tier 2 is pretty exposed, but it doesn't need to be necessarily stay around for a super long time initially. You can... Oh, Tib Core Missile, Tib Catalyst Missile, rather, going to be taken out. It looks like one refinery. Doesn't look like any harvesters went down, but refinery gets re-established by ZTipzee, so kind of annoying, but not the biggest deal. Bike, or Buggy, and well, a couple of bikes as well. Going to be trading out against these pit bulls. Looks like a Pred is mixed in here as well, but with the help of this Hammerhead, no AP ammo just yet, so the upgrade is probably literally going to finish in a couple of seconds. But Black Hand Squad's also showing up for BikeRushOwnz, a couple of buggies and bikes in the north as well, as they're going to be pushing, and this could just be a big push to try and secure the blue. Stop your opponent from getting it, you secure it for yourself, send a couple of harvesters over there, maybe 2 for each player, and then basically lock down all of that blue tib and deny your opponent from getting that income. Orca Strike going to be coming in the slow push from Bike Rush and Senna. It's working its way forward. One Orca does go down. They do have a nice little bombing run there, but no Harvester is there, which means it's not going to do any additional damage, just a bit of damage to that refinery. Hammerhead does go down, but the push will not be stopped. It's just constant marching forward from Bike Rush and Senna. Phoenix and ZTipzee, they've got to do something about this army, which could start targeting down harvesters one after the other. A couple of these harvesters very clumped up. Rockets, if they get good volleys, could do some massive damage. Shredder turret's going to be coming down in bikes from the north, but an Avatar is now here, even going to be using the Hand of Nod ball trick to try and crush a couple of extra units, but the attack is waning. They're going to have to pull back, and the ball is a little bit too slow, not able to style on these units in that way, and unfortunately, he will have to kill them the old-fashioned way. Railgun Mammoth tanks out on the field for ZTipzee. So the big tier 3 transition, that's why you didn't see very many units coming out from ZTipzee, why it was just a couple of watchtowers, and instead is just right up to a huge expensive Mammoth tank. Railgun's also an expensive upgrade, so you got to spend all that cash. Most of the blue Tiberium has secured one harvester. No, that's a pit bull. Looks like it did go down. I know I did see Senna sending some harvesters over there earlier, so that team on the right side has claimed pretty much all of that blue Tiberium, thousands and thousands of credits worth of blue Tiberium, a little bit of an eco boost for them. In the north, there's the Reclamator hub set up for ZTipzee, as well as this fresh expansion field. As in the south, everything is starting to dry up. These guys are starting to just eat through their tib fields. And one harvester getting targeted down way behind enemy lines. Phoenix on the hunt. Could also snipe a power plant if he wants to. I'm not sure what the real deal with this force is, if it's just going to be harvester hunting, or if he's also trying to get a little bit of a look for any potential spots for one-clicks. But trying to snipe the blue tib harvesters, going to be denying some of that income. Of course, the majority of the income was already gathered, and it looks like this Marv going to be, I don't know what he's doing. He's stepping too far forward is I think what he's doing. He's kind of just out here with no real support, which we've seen is a bad idea. Bike Rush is going to be losing his MCB, as one Avatar and a Barracks is not enough to stop 3 Mammoth tanks from rolling over here and absolutely crushing everything. Mines do catch one Mammoth, but those things have enough health to be able to absorb a couple of mine shots like that. Secret Shrine down here in the middle, and it looks like it is going to be a Marvist on this field. This is now a stealthed Harvester, one of those 2v2 combos that you can work up. And of course, Masterleaf, if you guys have seen some of the crazy stuff that he's come up recently with 2v2 unit combinations, some absolutely insane, some insane and fun stuff, which is just a great opportunity for 2v2 teams to reach new heights of complementing each other. Some of the sticking fanatics inside of Hammerheads or crazy stuff like that. Anyways, Avatar is going to be stepping forward. Rage Gun does fire off, and of course the damage is not that bad. Most of the avatars do still stand, which means with the combination of this Marv, they're going to be able to carve through this Tier 3, Tier 4 high-tech army. Shockwave Artillery does fire off, and it's going to be ZTipzee calling it in. Locks down the Redeemer and a couple of Juggernauts as well, but the avatars are still alive. Now, the Sonic Emitter stands up, but it's immediately unpowered and then gets its lights back on. 2 Mammoth tanks down in the south, and the Juggernaut starting to eat away at this base. The Marv on the run from this Marv, and I mean the Redeemer on the run from this Marv, as the Marv stepping forward, making good use of that ability to just be hidden. Not something you see very often, as another Mammoth tank joins the fray but gets immediately wiped out. Mammoth tanks getting spread across the map by ZTipzee, as he is unable to really form a solid defense. The MCV goes down, Juggernauts carving through everything. Rage Gen fires off any big wins from it. 1 Juggernaut may go down, a couple of avatars do get eliminated, but engineers are already here for the reclaim, although I think that's BikeRush's. For a second, I was worried about the actual color of those units. And oh my gosh, ZTipzee here with a Marv in his opponent's base. He could end up getting this surrounded just by cheap infantry and utilize that to turn things around if he's able to get a bunch of rockets up. Disruption Tower going to be hiding the engineers as they reclaim these husks, and this southern expansion is all but lost by the unstoppable firepower of BikeRushOwnz Senna. The unstoppable march forward, and it looks like this Marv is maybe not going to be able to end things as quickly as this huge Juggernaut Avatar stealth army in the south. This Disruption Tower doing a lot to disrupt the enemy attacks from being as effective, and there's just not much left in the south for ZTipzee and Phoenix. All of their hopes hang on this Marv, and that is a lot of militant squads. I guess guys are getting, or buildings are getting broken or sold off, and that's the result. Is just a ton of gun damage out on that Marv. The slow march forward in game number 1, ZTipzee and Phoenix have been defeated. Game number 1 going to BikeRushOwnz Senna. Not in a super decided factor, but once they powered up, that slow push started and it never stopped. Classic Bike Rush style, multiple MCVs. You lose one MCV back home, it doesn't matter. You've got another one in the south pushing your opponent's base, dropping that barracks for the engineers to reclaim avatars, juggernauts, whatever. And that slow push never stopped. That will do it for game number 1, already kicking off in fantastic style. Let's see what happens in game number 2, which takes us to Hurricane Land. On the left side, as the yellow GDI, this is Senna. And making up the other part of the team that's up 0-1, or I should say 1-0, as the red marked of Kane, this is BikeRushOwnz. Got himself some Awakened squads heading north. On the right side, as the green Skren, this is Phoenix. And their ally needed to bring it back together as the purple GDI, ZTipzee. Some factions the same, Senna and ZTipzee. Going to be sticking with that GDI throughout these 2 games. And BikeRush switching it up with some marked of Kane. So we'll have to see if he's utilizing anything in specific, if he's going for any specific marked of Kane strategies, or if he just got a random deal for marked of Kane. And then Skren. Total mix-up here for Phoenix. Now, we do have mutant hovels in the corners of the map. It's been a few years since I played this map. I'm pretty sure I played this map. But I don't remember if the mutant hovels were there. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. Are there any mutant-specific plays? I know Master Leaf definitely has some mutant-specific plays and some weird combinations, as that guy finds the secrets and finds the things that work. I don't know that I've ever seen mutants be utilized in like a more legit kind of a way, where they're like an actual, that guy's skating. He's just skating around the fence. Utilized in a way that isn't kind of gimmicky, where if someone goes for mutants and then they end up losing because they're spending money on mutants instead of spending money on like regular units, or they go for mutants because they're so far ahead that they would have won even if they hadn't gone for mutants. So I'd love to see some mutant-specific stuff. BikeRushOwnz going to be EMPing these refineries and just delaying the income a little bit here, but the Gunwalker is here to stop that from happening. Gets the Harvester as well. Again, not a huge deal, just denies that income a little bit there. And of course, you only need one Awakened Squad member to survive to be able to do that, and that's why we see Phoenix wanting to hunt them down and stop them, because that EMP can be so annoying. Expansion coming up for Bike Rush. 2 little green fields, and you can do the same kind of a thing where you split the green fields between them. It looks like these guys are going to be going for the one bigger green field as Senna splits off on his own, and potentially a similar kind of a thing going on here for Phoenix and ZTipzee. So we do have a ton of money to be grabbed on this map, and that of course can lend itself to big army clashes just like we saw. Which, you know, other than Red Zone Rampage, the other 2v2 maps just aren't quite as good in that respect as these community-made 2v2 maps, which again are proper 2v2 maps. Command post has been spotted, so Bike Rush and Senna know the tech location and the tech level of their opponent. Operations Center not quite out yet for Bike Rush, and the same could be said for Senna, so keeping an eye on your opponent, always important. One Predator tank going to be trying to chase away this Rifleman squad, and doesn't have to worry too much about that Rifleman squad. Buggy does go down, gets killed by that Pred. MCV on the move for ZTipzee, so very aggressive MCV placement, very nice use of the Buzzer Swarm, calls it in directly in front of that barracks, catches all of those missile squads that were there, making this attack that much more effective, and that AP ammo a little bit faster for ZTipzee is going to be nice if he wants to continue this base push. Right now everything is getting overwhelmed, and surely there is no way that he's going to be trying to continue this base push. Of course, the vulnerability of the MCV means that you can't just pack it up from this position with this many Predator tanks this close, because even if they have to suicide onto that MCV, it'll almost certainly be worth it. There's the fast tech, the Sonic Emitter coming up for ZTipzee. 2 Sonic Emitters going to be laying waste, but the EMP is here for Bike Rush. Couple of photon cannons added in as well, but the repeat EMPs are locking down these Sonic Emitters so that they are dead weight, just looking at stuff and not actually doing anything. Awakened Squad does go down, but not before firing off one last EMP. And the foxhole does get emptied, but this Sonic Emitter will go down. A fresh one, 2 fresh ones do pop on up. Low power for just a second, taken offline and then brought back online as Bike Rush sends in some Scorpion tanks to try and help push this back. Dev tanks for Phoenix can be eating those Scorpion tanks alive, and once again, the EMPs are good enough to hold this attack back. The tech coming in for both of these guys as the Obelisks versus the Sonic Emitter. A classic battle for the ages, something that we all tell our grandkids about. Do you remember the day when the Sonic Emitters first rose? Do you remember the day when the Obelisk lit up the night? These are all things that we tell our kids. But artillery are here, Juggernauts and Devastator warships, which changes the name of the game and basically makes the base defenses a whole lot less useful. You can spend the cash on them, but they don't get you as much when they can just be shot down from out of range. Rocket squads and Awakened squads in the north dealing with those disintegrators, not disruptors. That is a totally different thing, but dealing with the disintegrators quite handily. Hammerhead getting some damage out, but not enough, and it does go down. Dev tanks getting eliminated one by one. ZTipzee with his Marv, going to be marvisting the field of his opponent. Always a great way to steal a bit of cash from your opponent, as well as get a little bit of money into your bank. If you can do it, why the heck not? Bike Rush and Senna definitely having some troubles this game. Not like the last game, the slow, strong push, the inevitable demise of Phoenix and ZTipzee. The shoe is on the other foot. The role is reversed as the War Factory gets sold off halfway down on health. And Command Post also will be eliminated. Everything has to be sold off because it will be destroyed. There's just too much DPS here from ZTipzee and Phoenix. BikeRush with a big stealth army in the north. It looks like it's going to be running out of stealth relatively soon. And the Redeemer is now out on the map. The last stand will be made not on this field, as these guys are going to try and find a way to split this attack up. Senna taking a lot of damage on the MCV there, but BikeRush turning his attention north to Phoenix. Does he have the avatar numbers to stand up against this many rockets, against this many avatars? Does he have the tripod numbers, rather? The EMPs are good as BikeRush crushes through this. Stasis Shield does pop, locking down a big chunk of that army that's going to be delaying everything until the Devastator warships can arrive. But they walk into the waiting arms of these Venoms with their supercharged particle beam upgrade, and once these rockets get off the line, even a SAM turret being added into the mix and claiming potentially a life there as the Devastator warships do back up away from the front line. They're trying to get out of range of all of this stuff from BikeRush, and now the Stasis Shield is back offline. Rage Gen does pop. I don't know that it'll actually affect all that much. One Harvester may end up going down there, but it looks like most other stuff already had attack orders given. Avatar is going to be taking a bit of damage from the tripod, and force fields do show up at the last minute there to give a little bit of extra health to those tripods. ZTipzee harvesting his own fields, but harvesting this fresh one on the front lines, using it to fuel his war machine. Venom's going to be skating to the front lines. They need to find a way to get around these units and deal with these Devastator warships, because that's just damage that is unanswered from Phoenix. He's just able to pound BikeRush from a distance without any recourse. Shockwave artillery misses, so ZTipzee using that, trying to trap the Redeemer so that the Juggernauts can finish it off in a quick fashion, but it will not happen. Nice stealth use from BikeRush, dropping the disruption tower to protect the Juggernauts a little bit more. And when the Juggernauts fight, if some of them are invisible, that gives a bit of an advantage, although dropping the stealth reveal right there on the front lines. Another great EMP, locking down 3 Juggernauts and a sonic emitter, as Zone Trooper is going to be stepping on forward to do their big Tier 3 damage, but I don't know that it's actually going to be enough. Enlightened also out on the field, not something you see very often. They are fully upgraded cybernetic legs and supercharged particle beams, as it's just not mattering. Senna losing so many Juggernauts, even to sonic emitters, as the Eradicator Hexapod, loaded up with shock troopers, stomps all over the army of BikeRush and Senna. BikeRush and Senna have been defeated. The score evens up 1-1. ZTipzee and Phoenix showing that they have no problem taking a win in this series. This is not a one-sided bash. They are here to fight. And now I am excited for game number 2, because game number 3, because game number 1 was a much stronger showing from BikeRush and Senna. Obviously, ZTipzee and Phoenix are very good players, but again, this is not a 1v1, it's a 2v2, and you can have very good players who don't play particularly well in a 2v2, but we have got ourselves a series on our hands, and the potential for some amazing 2v2. So let's jump into game number 3, which takes us to Arizona Sunshine, a map that I am very certain I have never seen. Look at all this great little desert plants hanging out there. On the left side, as the red marked of Kane, this is BikeRushOwnz. Their ally as the yellow GDI, it's Senna. On the right side, as the purple GDI, this is ZTipzee. And their ally as the green Black Hand, Phoenix. 1-1 is the score. Not a one-sided bash. Looks like we've got 2 Tib spikes per player. Looking like a nice little split of the Tib spikes there, and I guess that's it. Well, we do have expansion points as well, 1 on each side. So I think that's all of the structures too. Alright, so again, I don't think I've ever seen this map before. That's very interesting that you can capture kind of an aggressive expansion point there to get a little bit of build radius near your opponent's field. And very flat and open map, kind of reminiscent for like the, Forgotten Forest or those similar kind of maps, but very flat and open in that similar sense, and then with like a feature right in the middle So you got a little bit of breakup over here, and then a nice feature in the middle to kind of break up the geography of the map and allow some positioning to happen. And then the rest of it is really just, you know, little stuff like this and the Tiberium field. So potential for some big army moves, potential for some big clashes, late game, tier 3, all that kind of stuff. Bike's going to be coming in. 3 of them for Bike, going to be hunting that buggy, able to snipe it very nicely. And Bike's own buggy, which is to say BikeRush's own buggy, heading on back home. Ooh, catch the MCV on the move. The immediate unpack, I assume. Yeah, okay, ZTipzee is paying attention. It is always so painful if you take a ton of damage on your MCV without realizing it. And that is going to be the same thing for Phoenix. Going to be, nope, not packing up that. All right, so he does unpack it there. It's just a couple of more steps and then gets it just a little bit closer. BikeRush doing pretty much the same kind of a thing, and I assume, yep, Senna doing the same. So again, these 4 guys mirroring each other in virtually every way that matters. Our expansion timings across these 3 games have been almost identical, and the general tech paths have been very similar as well. No sneakiness, no incredible 2v2 kind of tactics, although it's not necessarily a fake out, but it kind of feels like a little bit of a fake out from ZTipzee. Drops the War Factory, you know, sets the MCV up there like it's going to be another field, doesn't drop any additional refineries, and it's 2 War Factory Predator Tank MCV move for ZTipzee. So this is directly into an assault. Bikes from Phoenix, Pitbulls from ZTipzee. Here and the EMP power from BikeRush, once again going to be utilized to try and lock this stuff down. Doesn't get the MCV, unfortunately, but it is going to be 2 barracks on the front line right there for Phoenix. And this MCV needs to be extremely careful. A couple of volleys could do some big damage to it. And if you can get that damage in early, it just makes the defense that much more difficult. Double lockdown of that MCV. And the Awakened Squads are, well, that one's a total whiff, but the Awakened Squads are getting shredded by these turrets as ZTipzee and Phoenix pushing in with a never-ending barrage of rockets and infantry. And this is just becoming a mess of base defenses as Senna drops watchtowers mirroring that of ZTipzee, and BikeRush and Phoenix dropping their shredder turrets. This is just an absolute mess, as I think there's some good damage being output by ZTipzee and Phoenix. I mean, the War Factory does go down, which means the reinforcements are going to be right here because another War Factory goes up immediately. Lots of Pred tanks now on the front line for Senna. He was a little bit weaker a moment ago, but now that all of his Predator tanks have been gathered together onto the front lines, they're able to stand strong, and that attack has been pushed back. The network of shredder turrets and watchtowers on both sides destroying themselves, basically. Okay. Oh. I was going to say BikeRush, but no, the beacons were actually thrown down there by Phoenix. I'm not sure what he's saying. I'm guessing he's saying throw an expansion over here, or maybe drop your command post over there, and then do something. So I guess he's marking this harvester as the thing that he's going to attack. At any rate, this MCV getting pushed back a little bit further, and Senna going to be just trying to use the Predator tanks to actually do some good damage. Nice push forward from ZTipzee, going to be protecting his MCV, protecting the pack-up, protecting the move out as well. And actually a swing-in of Pitbulls. It's not actually going to be an Orca Strike or anything. It's going to be Pitbulls, which gets the kill on that Harvester. BikeRush potentially losing 2 Harvesters. A big blunder there in a relatively low eco game compared to some of the last ones. Not something that you want to see if you're BikeRush, losing a Harvester and then potentially a second one there. No, it does head back to that field. Spun a little bit too far there. As it does head back to that field, it's low on health. It is vulnerable for another attack, but BikeRush himself striking back 4 bikes behind enemy lines, splitting the attacks on these 2 different harvesters. Not quite as efficient as he could, but he probably wouldn't have gotten the kills anyways, so I don't know that it matters all that much. Command post sold off immediately after the airfield is out. 4 Orcas are the strike. That's what's on the menu for ZTipzee. Going to be moving out across the blue tib, going to be hunting some harvesters, and these harvesters are stacked up, which means the splash damage is there. Free DPS for free. Overkills one of the harvesters, but he gets 2... For a second, I thought that EMP was in the air. It was flying right alongside those Orcas, and that would have been incredible if you could EMP in midair. cancel it as it's flying through the sky and get the kill on an Orca. But no, he didn't overkill too much, which means he has enough to finish off that Harvester. So it is actually the perfect splitting of missiles from those Orcas. 3 Harvesters down. Senna losing out on that income, and the blue tip evaporating from under his nose. Bike going to be coming in with more bikes. Great harassment here from Bike. 4 or 5 bikes is a dangerous attack group when controlled properly. AA batteries going down to try and guard against the Orcas, but they get immediately eliminated. They get eliminated immediately as blending the words is really the way to go. Nice, safe blue Tiberium harvesting. That might actually be the better option for these players, rather than going for the contentious blue tib in the middle of the map. Bike Rush taking out another Harvester. Black Hand Squad's going to be able to take out some of those. Ooh. It's in the middle of the map. It's a Tib Catalyst missile firing off. Gets the refinery, doesn't get the Harvester. So the damage delay enough for that Harvester to be able to escape. And, you know, in the old original 1.02, if you Tib Catalyst missile there, it actually kills the refineries over here as well. So all of those refineries would have gone down, which is just a little bit of a change there from the original game. Phoenix going to be stepping forward, but he's going to be losing all of these forces if he stays for too long. There's just not enough firepower there to break that many Shredder turrets, that many watchtowers. Still Harvester hunting, and we've seen good success from ZTipzee to be able to snipe Harvesters and get away with it with these 4 Orcas. He has been doing an admirable job of that. Could catch the MCV. Oh, he didn't realize it. He is still just Harvester hunting, which means he'll get 1, 2, and doesn't stay for the 3rd because, well, it doesn't matter. He's only got 2 Orcas left. Has to fly directly over the opponent's base, and he will end up losing 3 of the Orcas, and the last one manages to survive. The Venoms are just going to sacrifice themselves if they have to. They're going to get it when it lands. Yep. Nice kill there by Bike Rush. So he does catch that, and actually just before Supercharged Particle Beam finishes for Bike Rush, and now he's going to be Harvester hunting himself with 4 Venoms, which is definitely not the thing that you see very often. Again, Stealth Tanks coming in for Bike Rush on the constant harassment, utilizing Venoms and Stealth Tanks together. Stealth Tanks do great DPS, but the timing of the volley is so important, and if you're out of rockets for that volley, then you just can't do anything about it. But in this case, Venoms can just finish off those Harvester with the Supercharged Particle Beam. It's easy peasy. Drops a Shredder turret, which was the absolute wrong thing to do to deal with the Venoms, of course. But he's more worried about this army that is moving in from the west, the War Factory being sold off. ZTipzee is going to have to mount a heroic defense here. Predator tanks heading north. Railguns could be on the way for either one of these guys, and the race to Railguns could decide this, but the overwhelming numbers are probably what's going to decide this, as the crazy repeat EMPs lock down this MCV with totality, and unfortunately EMPs don't stack in a way that they add to the amount of time that the building is EMP'd, but this is an insane amount of DPS, and ZTipzee has been defeated. It is all up to Phoenix, and somehow I don't think it is going to be working out in his favor. It looks like the 2-1 is going to swing into the favor of Bike Rush and Senna as they just roll over all of the infantry of Phoenix. And for the current moment, Phoenix is fighting it out to the bitter end. I don't think he really has a chance to stand, but he's doing what he can. I guess beacons to say sell off your stuff and send more forces to the enemy's side. But there's going to be a little bit of a fire sale there on the front line for Phoenix. Going to be selling off some of those refineries, getting a little bit of cash back for them, and I guess he's going to try and fight this out. So he's not going to give up. He is going to not take the 1-2 score disadvantage. He's going to try and turn this into a 2-1 score advantage for him. And, I mean, more power to him. I have no idea what his strategy is, other than build a lot of stuff, build more stuff, and control it better than 2 independent players. But we will see. Like, this is not an Archon mode kind of situation. This is just there are 2 guys worth of micro and 2 guys worth of stuff. versus 1.5 guy worth of stuff. So, all credit to Phoenix if he can pull this off, but this is either going to be a huge slip-up by BikeRush and Senna, or this is just a huge BM/troll jokey kind of a move from Phoenix. He's just like, hey, I can stay here all day. I'm going to make you kill every single building. And once again, I guess BikeRush is just being reminded to sell off all of his base defenses, which is just a funny thing to do. This is so many Venoms out on the field, and of course with that supercharged particle beam they do additional damage. Nice split of the Venoms there to try and avoid those SAM sites. And yep, for now the Venoms are just going to run away. The SAM sites have been drafted, which means they're there for the defense. And yeah, Senna moving their MCV up north, going to be heading up to that northern tip field, the original starting positions I believe of Phoenix and ZTipzee. And Phoenix is going to have some base pushing to contend with. That was an incredible Orca Strike. I don't know if I've ever seen an Orca Strike do that much like potential damage, as it almost kills 2 Harvesters in one fell swoop. And the stacking there for the splash damage was more than normally happens. There's going to be a hallucination, I assume, for vision, just to give a little bit of a heads up. No, okay, so it's not for a Tip Catalyst missile. I guess it's just for this bike so that he could see ahead of him and know that there are... There we go, there's the Tip Catalyst missile. Gets the Harvester, gets the refinery as well, kills the bike as well as that bike drives into the exploding Tiberium. That's a real Valhalla awaits kind of a moment there. Really, really identifying the cultish nature of the Nod group. APCs mixed together with Pred tanks, no railguns, so they're going to kill buildings and tanks a little bit slower, but who cares? There's still so much DPS. AP ammo hammerheads, AP ammo APCs. Could easily just overwhelm this one purifier by itself. I mean, a couple of mantises are here to make the hammerheads less effective, but those can also be dealt with, especially once they're out of range of the base defenses. Tier 3 getting dropped kind of on the front lines for Senna. And the Conyard is also here. Man, there's just like so much yellow and red on this map, and not a whole lot of green. There's a lot of Tiberium, but not a whole lot of Phoenix's forces. So Phoenix going to be bringing everything he's got to bear on this base in the north. Reclamator hub going down on the front lines, and I assume it's just going to become a big mess of base defenses as these guys step on forward. And this is so many Venoms, enough to overwhelm SAM sites, overwhelm Mantises. It is just nothing can stand in the way. Leaves one Purifier alive, doesn't even care about the SAM sites, is just going to be going for the kills on them. So, oh my gosh, this is so many SAM sites. You can't actually fight this many SAM sites. He's splitting constantly. Great control from BikeRush. I don't know if it matters because he doesn't have the firepower. And, okay, so never mind. This is just styling on him. So he's literally making fireworks of his own units. At first, I thought he was actually going for an assault. And I was like, this is too many SAMs for him to actually be able to do that. But, just styling there. Which I guess, you know, front flips for style. Suiciding Venoms also for style. Which normally is not what you go for. 4.5 minutes left on the clock for the nuke. And these guys could just drain it out. And, that could be the thing. I'm just going to wait on the nuke and then see what happens. Ooh, Rage Gen fires off. Nothing was in range? Yeah, I think literally nothing except for the Marv was in range, and the Marv already had an attack command, so didn't really change anything. Spectres are here. Oh my gosh, if BikeRush loses this game, and he was doing the styling with the Venoms, that will just make the victory that much sweeter. And it's like, you could have used those Venoms for something else. But very confident in their victory is the team on the left side. Phoenix, again, he's got lots of SAM sites. He's got a decent amount of, like, static base defenses, but that doesn't really kill stuff. And also, he's got 3 or 4 Spectres out here. Kills 1 Juggernaut, so you gotta hand it to them there. I assume Firehawk's on the way? There's an airfield here, but he's not doing anything. I assume Firehawks, you know, maybe take down the tier 3. Stuff like that. Rage Gen fires off once again, trying to preserve this Redeemer. The Marv is here with no support, which is a bit problematic. You know, the Marv with no support. We've seen this story many, many times. Venom's going to be rushing forward. SAM sites are in range, which means the Venoms, if they stack up, will do a ton of damage. The Marv does go down, explodes at the last second there, but this is so many Venoms that they can actually DPS down these Purifiers if they focus on them. As you can see, before the EMP even wears off, one of them goes down just a little too close to the anti-air base defenses for the liking of Bike Rush. Senna reclaiming a Purifier and heading in with a couple of, well, 1 Predator tank and 4 APCs. There we go. Not going to make us wait the last 2 minutes of that nuke, as Phoenix has been defeated. And that would have been an amazing comeback. That would have been absolutely phenomenal and, like, for the history books kind of a comeback, unless it was just, like, Bike Rush and Senna just, like, suicided their army into, like, a meat grinder. But that would have been pretty nuts. At any rate, that will do it for game number 3, 2-1 in Bike Rush Senna's favor. Let's find out what happens in game number 4. Which takes us to the ghost town. That is unsound investment, as it was not a sound investment to build all of this stuff in a red zone. On the left side, as the yellow GDI, it's Senna. Their teammate, you know him. This is BikeRushOwnz. Mad styling with those Venoms in that last game. BMing a little bit there, potentially, on the south side. As the purple GDI, it's ZTipzee and their ally. Needing to bring things back down 1-2, but they were down 0-1 before. So let's see them do it. This is Phoenix. He's Black Hand, as you can tell, by the tall hats on all of his units. Big believers in tall hats are the Black Hand. I guess that guy has 5 eyes. Does he have 5 eyes? Does he need all that space for his big brain to process those 5 eyes? I think it just looks like they have tall hats. Like, they're the very formal of the Nod factions. They wear capes and top hats. I don't know what their deal is, but looks like both of the Nod players did indeed grab all of the Tib spikes. I guess there are some other Tib spikes in the middle of the map, contested Tib spikes. But one of the classic 2v2 maps, which is really more of a 4-player FFA kind of a map, doubles for both. And that's not an MCV cell, right? It's not a airfield MCV cell all in, right? All right, well, these guys said playing standard the first 3 games or fast tech base pushes is not the way to go. You know what is the way to go? Orca Rush. Not something we see very often, but something that can be extremely effective. When you lose everything, it seems to be less effective, although the research is still out on that one. Nothing has been concluded conclusively. Phoenix going to be pulling in a couple of bikes here just to do that extra bit of DPS. Of course, the great downside to Orcas, well, the balancing factor to Orcas is the fact that they have to return to base to fuel up, get more rockets. But this flame tank should just turn around. You're not going to outrun Bike and Buggy. But there's an MCV cell from BikeRushOwnz, so he's committing to this as well. He recognizes what they're up against, and he sees the only way forward is an MCV cell, but also he has a War Factory, and BikeRushOwnz, like 50% of the time that he sells an MCV, he rebuilds it like 3 minutes later, and you're like, how do you still have more money than the other guy after selling an MCV and rebuilding it? And somehow you have better eco than the guy who didn't do that and who played standard. So that is Bike Rush's MO. Pitbulls for Senna here on the front line, going to be mixing in with the bike buggy of Bike Rush in the defense for this attack. War Factory here, dual airfield here, and one refinery, but these guys are going to be splitting the income of these fields, which means if this game goes on for another couple of minutes, they are going to be at a serious disadvantage, although BikeRushOwnz only has the one refinery, so he's not in much better of a situation, but at least there is more Tiberium to be had on the northern side of the map than on the southern side of the map. Lots of units standing in Tib. One harvester does go down to these orcas, making great use of this mountainous terrain area in the middle of the map. Snipes another harvester, loses one. 2 orcas for it? Yeah, 2 orcas do go down. Unfortunate for ZTipzee, but he's getting value from them. Phoenix rushing in, EMP completely whiffs, could have helped shut this attack down, allow those rockets to do bits of extra damage, but the buggies are standing strong. They're able to eliminate the rockets one by one, which means it's bike versus bike, but when you've got the extra buggies tanking and the orcas coming in every once in a while, it means Bike Rush is outmanned, outgunned, and out of options as Phoenix circles around with a huge group of bikes hunting the one harvester. The 2 harvesters of BikeRushOwnz. It will escape as the Pitbulls for Senna are here for the defense. They are here to save their friend. They are here to get people back to work and back to harvesting Tiberium. Sells off the Hand of Nod. Not a lot of options here for Bike Rush as that Hand of Nod can't be easily replaced. So it's going to be coming up to Senna. Orcas on the left side of the map going to be firing on the refinery a little bit there before they go for that harvester. They are going to be getting the kill, and Phoenix is going to be turning the bikes to the left side of the map, heading over there for some harvester kills to join up with these orcas in attacking, and a great strike here, a combo strike, splash damage doing insane amounts of DPS to those harvesters, trying to get their Tiberium out, trying to get it into the bank account of Senna, but it is not possible. It will not be. Pitbulls showing up, but they're so low on hit points. A couple of them are very close to going down. One bike trades out for one Pitbull as the 2 forces will leave each other in the dust. The refinery gets sold off there. Bike Rush. He's got his 2 harvesters. He's got his 1 refinery, and I guess he told his ally to sell off the refinery there to consolidate money and forces as much as possible. Bikes coming in, sniping this power plant. If you could get a bit of damage on it, would also be nice. Like, even if you don't kill it, even if you weaken it, it's either going to have to be repaired or it'll be weak the next time you come into town. And if you can kill a power plant in this kind of a situation, that could be a game-ending kind of a move, because one power plant powering everything with no MCV out on the field makes a difference. The last rocket squads go down from Bike Rush. He has nothing left to stand. 1 buggy still on the field as harvesters will now be hunted. Where are the Pitbulls? They are gone. Bike Rush sells off everything in the north, and it's up to his new base in the south. So this is now a 1v2 in an awkward situation, but Bike Rush is doing what he can, and the great thing for him is he's retained those Tib spikes, so over time that's going to represent a huge amount of his income. ZTipzee calls out the Pitbulls. He sees the attack incoming. 1 hammerhead does go down, and it looks like this bike buggy is going for the pursuit. This is a ton of stuff from Phoenix, and it's going to be able to catch up to these Pitbulls and eliminate a couple more of them as they reverse move all the way back home, eliminating 1 by 1, dying to the fire incoming from Phoenix's Tier 1 forces. They turn their way north, going watchtowers. Nope, they're not going past the watchtowers. They're instead just going to turn back around, head back home. This field is a little more exposed, says ZTipzee. Why don't you try attacking there? I'll send a hammerhead. LOL, I'll send a hammerhead home because it just took a bunch of damage from rocket squads. 3 rocket squads inside of a bunker is a difficult thing to break with these weak units as orcas going for the strikes, trading out against the Pitbulls. Not ideal, but when you've killed all the harvesters, it's as good as you're going to get. And I guess the orcas are not the name of the game for ZTipzee, or he doesn't mind trading out as another harvester does go down, desperate for forces, desperate for money. Bike Rush loses one after the other. 2 harvesters in the south, harvesting very well. No more Orca's strikes coming in at the current moment. Sold off 1, and Bike Rush has been defeated. Sold off 1 airfield, but that will do it, evening things up 2-2 with a great early MCV cell rush, as these guys find a way to even the score and to mix things up strategically, which led to a 2v2. And by that I mean the score being 2-2. Let's find out what happens in game number 5, which takes us to Tiberian Forest, a 2v2 map that I am not familiar with. Mute Hovel and EMP control centers, as well as, I guess, a little bit of water in the north there. On the left-hand side, as the green screen, this is Phoenix. As the purple, marked of Kane, this is ZTipzee. On the right side, going for Refinery first. Very fun. On the right side, as the red, marked of Kane, this is BikeRushOwnz. And as the yellow, you guessed it, marked of Kane, this is Senna. So you gotta hand it to these guys. Everyone decided, let's play marked of Kane. And then Phoenix was like, no, I want to play Scrin. Refinery first, always an interesting choice, but when you've only got like the 1 tib spike, I guess, and then an EMP control center in the north, why go for those early scouts? You're going to have the buggy out a little bit faster. You're going to be able to save that money and spend it on other stuff. So you might as well just do it that way. You can get your scouting done with the buggy. You don't have to worry about denying captures or anything. It's not like your opponent is going to do anything super crazy anyways. Probably they're not going to do anything super crazy that you need an early game barracks for, so. Makes a lot of sense, especially on this map, especially in this situation. More harvesters going to be coming on out for Bike Rush. Buggy here, getting a complete scout for ZTipzee. And going to be able to see everything that's going on. But likewise, mirror, mirror on the wall. These two teams are playing the same way, big and small. They are very mirrored in this game, much like we saw in most of the other games, but not all of the other games. Now, in the south, we got big ol' expansion fields. Again, Tiberian Forest kind of reminded you of Rift a little bit there, or Forgotten Forest, rather. In a similar kind of a layout, similar kind of a design. Big mountain here, you know, all that kind of stuff. Those, I like that there's just no texture on these hexagons. It's just giant shafts of Tiberium, but, I don't know that they were ever designed to be used as a feature like that, so, unfortunately, nothing doing on the texture front. Lots of harvesters for everyone. Lots of expansions. Bikes trading out against a couple of rocket troopers in the south. And Bike Rush turns his attention north. He's going to be heading to the home base. Heading backwards as couple of rocket squads were heading out for Senna. I guess he's keeping an eye on that blue tib field. Going to be seeing if anything happens. EMP's locking down a couple of bikes. Couple of Senna's bikes getting shut down there. Harvester takes some damage, but not enough to really be worried about. And mixing in a couple of rockets is, I feel like, going to work better maybe in a game without 2v2, where your opponent can just go for a buzzer swarm and kill all of the rockets. Of course, it would maybe be delayed a little bit, but a bunch of buzzers. Look at that, nerve center. A bunch of buzzers to deal with rockets could be a good way to deal with that. But I do like the idea of mixing in like 3 rocket troopers with an attack, because that gives your bikes so much more DPS. It gives them so much more meat to their attack if you're going to be trading out with nearly equal numbers of bikes. But of course, 3 rockets alone, pretty easy to deal with. bikes for ZTipzee. Going to be rushing in. A couple of them do get caught by that big EMP, and this is the moment for Phoenix to dash as well. Coming in, trying to hunt the harvesters of BikeRushOwnz, and going to be able to target down a couple of the harvesters, some of them on low HP. Now keep in mind that they are trading out big forces for this, so Phoenix and ZTipzee are going to be losing most of their standing armies to go for this attack, and that may be okay if they get some more harvester kills here. This lightning spike not even doing very much, but I think that's no harvester kills. So that attack falling on its face. 3 buggies do show up. They do get EMP'd a little bit there, and there is a shredder turret to maybe eventually kill this stuff. ZTipzee shows up with more bikes on the front lines, going to be turning south and going for his own harvester hunting. Again, pushing in here, trying to eliminate as many harvesters as possible. So far, I think the count is 0. It's finally up to 1, trading out so many bikes, so many buggies to just get 1 harvester kill. Not necessarily worth it for ZTipzee and Phoenix. BikeRush, on the other hand, getting everyone back to work, being able to, you know, set stuff up like he wants. Mechapede's out on the field for Phoenix, going to be heading on south, while his drone ship heads towards one of the center fields, going to be taking that expansion and potentially base pushing, or just really going aggro on his opponents. An aggressive war factory in the middle of the map, or an Eradicator hexapod, kind of a tech up. Anything is possible. Bike does have a ton of bike buggy to deal with as ZTipzee turns his attention north, and he's going to be going in. Shredder turret does drop down, and well, never mind. Everything turns around. They see the avatar. They see, I guess, the sell-off of the operations center. They turn around and get on out of there, as it is going to be Mechapedes on the front lines, taking some damage from those supercharged particle beam shredder turrets. And again, supercharged particle beams doing enough damage to bike buggy to keep it away. That is not really a viable attack strategy when your opponent can just drop tons of shredder turrets and eat away at your army surprisingly quickly. 1 Mechapede does get sniped there, caught out in the middle of the map and destroyed. Scorpion tanks out on the field, and they're going to be turning south. ZTipzee could end up losing this harvester. He was trying to be sneaky with the blue Tiberium, but he's going to get punished for it. So that blue Tiberium is now gone, and well, Senna is going to try and take some for himself. He's got 1 harvester there, but more importantly, he's got a ton of military forces to support that harvester and keep it safe. 4 Mechapedes now rebuilding 1 of them, heading on up north, joining up with these tripods, which already have the force field upgrade. Redeemer out on the field as BikeRush immediately sells off the engineering facility, and a 2nd Redeemer now here for Senna. So a couple of vocal pops going off there, and I assume similar things are on the way, although no tier 4 structures out for Phoenix or ZTipzee, so nothing just yet. Phase on the tripods to save them. Going to be forcing BikeRush and Senna to pull back from the front lines. Nope, not a big swarm. Instead, it's just the Mechapedes dancing. Can he dance like the Mechapedes? Once again, I ask you all this question. In the south, Harvester's going to be looking at each other as they steal Tiberium. They're like, hey, it's kind of a funny wave over there. I wonder if that's Stealth Harvester also stealing blue Tiberium. And the answer is, of course, yes. BikeRush expanding out to the middle of the map, going to be setting up a bit of a refinery there. And again, in the north, Venom's catching out these Mechapedes. They're going to be doing a little bit of damage, not enough anti-air in these Venoms apparently to deal with these 3 or 4 Venoms, but BikeRush is going to be forced to split them off. EMP locks down the Redeemer, and the stasis shield pops as well to keep that Redeemer in place. ZTipzee walks forward with, or Phoenix walks forwards with the tripods to try and get the secure of the EMP, try and lock down that Redeemer. Once again, it's going to be forcing an engagement in the middle of the map as BikeRush and Senna both show up with their armies. Obelisks also going down as the stealth is going to be trying to keep this stuff safe. The tripods getting locked down, and this is so many husks on the field to be potentially captured as that attack falls completely flat on its face. It seemed like Phoenix had a moment, an open opportunity, but it was a lie. There was really nothing to be had from that engagement, and that was just a bit of a flop. Calls in the buzzers to get the kill on any engineers trying to go for the cap of these husks, and actually gets the kill on all of the husks, so a great move there. Doesn't even really matter if he gets the engineers, the husks are gone. And what the heck? Phoenix has snuck in tanks into the back of his opponent's base. He's going harvester hunting, and it's going to be the shredder turrets here for the defense as a huge push is happening on the left side of the map. Phoenix is going to muster everything that he possibly can in a 1v2 to try and take these guys on, to try and stand up for himself and make something happen here, as it's just going to be a big, giant push from BikeRush and Senna. Rage Gen buys a little bit of time, but now the avatars are turning their attention to this Redeemer, and this is so many lasers, an insane amount of lasers, even a Mechapede going down in the north, and this one Redeemer will fall, exploding into pieces there, and Phoenix has been defeated once again. BikeRush and Senna taking the lead 3-2 in a game that happened. So let's not dwell too much on this one, as well, Phoenix did have the most money. He was looking pretty okay on the income graph, but of course, since ZTipzee handed off his stuff to him, to Phoenix, then that is about what you would expect. That will do it for this game. Game number 6. Will the pattern repeat itself? We are now in the match point situation. BikeRush and Senna just need one more win to clinch the victory. Let's find out what happens in game number 6. Which takes us to Ice Arena, and a pretty great battleship from Nod, frozen in the middle of the map. On the left side, down 2-3. As the green Nod, this is Phoenix. As the purple Nod, ZTipzee. On the right side, needing one more game to clinch the win, as the red marked of Kane, BikeRushOwnz. And as the yellow Nod, Senna. Game number 6, an admirable showing on all sides. Some dominance, some flubs from each team. Overall, a pretty solid finals. And now we have one or potentially two more games to close us out. See who goes home $100 richer, who goes home $200 richer, or $150 richer. No idea about this map, never seen it before. Looks pretty great, and I love the detail and design of this map. The snow tile set, of course, looks neat. And other than that, we're going to find out what's going on it. Looks like a couple of tib spikes there. Going to be split between each side, and then not a whole lot else in terms of capturable structures, but 2 blue Tiberium fields starting empty and growing slowly, which always can be a source of contention in these maps. The attack has been spotted. ZTipzee snipes a buggy, I assume, from either BikeRush or Senna, and that buggy will be kind of tipping the hat that, hey, there are 4 or 5 bikes on their way to your side of the map. Couple of militant squads in the north as well. Couple of militant squads in the south, but the attack pushes in. Laser turret does go down. Going to be able to snipe one of the bikes very nicely. And again, overcommitting to an attack is not always the right move. Oftentimes, getting out with your forces is the better thing to do. BikeRush has secured his harvesters with that laser turret. Again, not something that we saw very often a while ago, but instead, something that people are doing a lot more. There's the power plant, and the MCV is on the move. So this has been spotted by ZTipzee. He's like, I know what you're doing. You're moving your MCV. And Senna's like, yeah, what of it? And he's like, well, I thought it might be an MCV cell. Aha, now we understand each other. but it's going to be just a relatively quick expansion. Not a long distance to walk, pretty short walk to get to your expansion field no matter which way you go. Bike Rush on the way to his expansion field, and then just like Hurricanes, it's 2 small fields for one player, and then 1 big green field for the other player. Similar design decisions in these maps for some of the community-made maps. But Bike's going to be coming in. A couple of buggies as well from Senna. Bikes from Bike going to be joining up, so this is a really powerful attack force, but there are a couple of rocket troopers here to try and even things up, and 1 harvester does go down, may just have to get on out of there, may not really be worth sticking around for any additional kills, and just get out of there with as much stuff as you possibly can. Laser turrets going down, but they were a bit late from ZTipzee, so he wasn't able to really adequately protect his harvesters, losing the 1 there. Definitely annoying, but not necessarily the end of all things. This is so many bikes from Bike Rush, really earning his namesake there. And they're swinging in. The defense is here from Phoenix, maybe a little bit from ZTipzee as well. We'll have to see if he joins up in this defense. Big swings for Bike, but the laser turret, again, it makes it more difficult. So much harder to break harvesters, to break an attack point like that when the laser turrets are here. So it's great to see players actually utilizing them. It's possible one day we will also see a player build a Guardian Cannon. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We're not going crazy here. We're just asking for simple things. But it's also possible that there were some tweaks made to the laser turret. I don't know about maybe price or damage output or something that made it a little more viable in competitive matches. Big swing for Phoenix. He's going to get 1 harvester for sure, but he's going to trade out a lot of bikes for it. Could get a second harvester. If you don't have enough to actually get the kill, it may not be worth doing the damage if you have to trade out everything to get it. He gets the kill, so a good move there by Phoenix, although I don't know how many bikes he actually ended up losing there. He could have lost, $2 grand worth of bikes, in which case it's not necessarily worth it. A little bit harder to tell in that kind of a situation. ZTipzee pushing in, sniping harvesters left and right, gets 1. 2 more are very exposed, and the defense is slow here for Senna. Unable to stop 2 harvesters from going down, and instead the bikes do turn north. Bike Rush shows up with his own defensive forces, going to be forcing ZTipzee away. And Senna, now here with the slow response force, is able to push back ZTipzee and stop him from doing any more damage. But losing those 2 harvesters represents a pretty significant chunk of the expansion economic forces. It represents a fair amount of the economy, the future economy of Senna. And an unfortunate percentage drop there for Senna, losing those 2 harvesters. But again, just like the early harvester losses, not unrecoverable. Bike Rush and Senna can certainly swing things back into their favor economically, and even things up a little bit. Scorpion tanks now here for the defense from ZTipzee. Operations Center out. Let's do a quick tech check up as Phoenix just sitting on that tier 1 right now, and it looks like much the same. Nope, Operations Center, but much the same for many of these players. Going tier 3 for Senna, so going to be getting that tier 3 a little bit more quickly than some of the other players. Another harvester does go down. More laser turrets here for the defense as Bike Rush forced to pull everything back around the mountains. And once again, Senna, he is going to be coming in for the defense this time. Blue Tiberium could be getting targeted down as this harvester will certainly die, but the others may be able to escape. Bike Rush going to be desperately defending them, but he loses all 3. 3 harvesters going down, adding more and more to the numbers that have been eliminated for Bike Rush and Senna. ZTipzee pushing in with a bunch of Scorps, getting us some free kills potentially here. He's going to get the refinery if he chooses to commit. Rocket Squad's getting delayed as the Hand of Nod can't actually produce anything. Not enough money to produce defensive units, and the Dozer Blades are here giving a little bit more meat to these Scorpion tanks. Going to be able to trade out against inferior numbers as ZTipzee can stomp all over this army if he wants to, but it's supercharged particle beam time for Bike Rush, as that Marked of Kane upgrade making its appearance in almost every single one of these games for Bike Rush. He loves that upgrade. He loves utilizing the advantage that it gives him of cheap base defenses, cheap venoms, doing way more damage than they ordinarily would. Whoa, that is an explosion of bike and buggy as a defensive tib vane detonation fires off, an expensive way to try and salvage your harvesters to keep them safe, as a ton of laser scorps in the north are going to be facing off just 4 laser scorps from Senna. This is a lot to do with these guys, and these harvesters could just be getting focused, as more base defense is going to be coming up for Bike Rush. I don't know if they're going to be able to contend with the base defenses over time. Bike Rush also drops a Hand of Nod, or Senna rather drops a Hand of Nod. One harvester does go down. A second harvester and a third are very low on HP. More harves going down, 4 and 5. Senna has almost no harvesters left. He might have literally no harvesters other than this one here on the front lines, and it too will go down, being sold off. The economy has been shuttered. Everything is down and out for Senna. He just has almost nothing left. And that will do it for game number 6. A very violent end as Bike Rush and Senna leave that match, and things starting out equal but tumultuous for these players, as Bike Rush and Senna dropping way down in the economy, and there was no end in sight for ZTipzee and Phoenix. A great early game strike there that just never ended, as it ends in just about 10 minutes. That will do it for game number 6. You know what that means. We are going to the ace match. It's 3-3. 1 win, 1 win for each team. The pattern continues, but only one can take home the victory in game number 7. Which takes us to Wasteland Dam in the south as the green nod. This is Phoenix, evening things up with some fast action on the right side as the purple nod. This is ZTipzee. And by that I mean the right side of the left side. On the actual right side of the map, as the double Marked of Kane team, this is BikeRushOwnz. And of course, that means this is Senna. Double Marked of Kane versus double Nod for the most minimal amount of unique combinations that we could possibly have in a 2v2 tournament. We're going to end with a faction versus a sub-faction, where there is no real interplay between the units that is unusual, because of course you could replicate everything that's going to be happening here in a 1v1. That being said, Wasteland Dam, another map that I am unfamiliar with, one of these great community maps that we have seen so much in this tournament. Big shout out to the map makers, Predator and the other guys. I don't know who makes all these maps. I guess Technique has made a couple of maps, and then someone else has also made some maps. I don't know. Anyways, if you make community maps that are good for competitive play, big shout out to you. If you make community maps that are like scripted and campaigns and all of that kind of stuff, then huge shout out to you, because I tried doing that once and it is a huge time investment. And at least if you're not very good at it, it is. Maybe these guys can crank them out real quick because they're good at it. But huge shout out to all of these guys who make community maps, who help bring new content to an old game like this. It's really fantastic to see the support in this way. Bike Buggy going to be showing up for Senna. He's going to be seeing this MCV on the move. He's like, hey, what's up? And, of course, he's getting shot in the face as a result of it. The buggy does go down. A bike went down earlier, and Senna's other bike will also get eliminated. Poor Senna losing forces all over the place, unable to stand on his own 2 legs. Bike Rush going to be moving his MCV to the left, and Phoenix is doing basically the same thing. Senna and ZTipzee, yikes. ZTipzee going to be mirroring each other in the same way that their buddies in the north are mirroring each other. Tibbs bike grabbed for Bike Rush. He's got those 2 there. No one has grabbed this one in the south. All of the little channels and attack paths and routes on this map, or routes if you like, are such a great thing to see, all these little details of how all of these places connect. And, of course, still keeping it pretty darn open. It's not locked down into just a couple of attack paths or a couple of locations that you can engage. It's a very open map, but still very detailed and lots of interest and nuance to it, you could say. All right, everything coming down to this. $100 to first, $200 to first place, $100 to each player versus $50 to each player for second place. So these guys are fighting for some real-world cash. It could be in their pocket, I assume, by the end of the day, but maybe on a 30-day delay if they pay like some other tournaments, or a 6-month delay. I assume this is paid out at the end of the day, and these guys are going to be feeling better when they go to bed than when they did when they woke up. Everyone here is a bit of a winner, but obviously someone's also going to be a loser. So there's the one player, the two players who are true winners, and then the other players who won up to the finals and still get some money, but not the true winners. Not the winners in our hearts, you could say. Bikes in the north, bikes in the south. Buggy going in for BikeRushOwnz to get the scout off. And no fast tech from Bike. He went dual war factory, so instead going for that extra production. Refinery and a hand of nod on the front line for Senna. Dual war factory here for Phoenix as well. So no one is going for anything weird. No one's going for anything too unorthodox. And again, mirror, mirror on the wall, these four players have seen it all, and they are very similar in playstyles. One harvester down and a second harvester down. Senna, for the life of him, cannot keep his early game harvesters alive. This has plagued him in the last couple of matches, losing another one as it does get repairs, but it does not matter. And these bikes are going to trade out their lives to do as much DPS to this harvester as they can. Oh my gosh, they're going to get another harvester. I thought he was going to be safe with this many scorpion tanks, with being able to pull around the buildings, but it was not. So many harvesters going down. Senna losing so much economy. Even another couple of shots there, but BikeRush comes in for the defense, is unable to save Senna's last harvester there. Not his last harvester, but his harvester that was under fire. And that means Senna is, again, he's not out of the game, but he has two harvesters this late into a match. Two harvesters actually working for him. His opponents have like 4 or 6 or 8 between them, well, each. And, 16 or 20 between them. Bike Buggy attacks everywhere. ZTipzee and Phoenix doing the good work of killing Senna's last two harvesters. A ton of scorpion tanks showing up here. Senna going for the fast tech, but it did not matter. It wasn't enough to hold off this army as Phoenix is crushing through BikeRush's forces. Everything in total disarray as BikeRush is floundering. Senna is hobbling, and the EMPs are not enough to actually shut down these armies. The incredible plays are delay tactics, and Senna will be able to shut down these 3 scorpion tanks, but the next wave is just around the corner. The tier 3 has been purchased. The tech up is happening. BikeRush can stabilize. Senna technically can stabilize, but it's going to be so hard. My gosh, having to sell off his war factory to get something to kill that bike so he doesn't lose his literal last harvester, his last bit of chance to stay in this game. Rocket troopers are going to be able to do some good DPS, but these scorps are going to crush them no problem. Even with the EMPs, it's not enough to make this attack stop as ZTipzee smothers Senna in shots, smothers Senna in blasting fire from these cannons, surrounds the MCV, and everything gets transferred over to BikeRush. Senna drops the Tib Catalyst, the Tiberium chemical plant, but BikeRush has also been defeated. I guess actually BikeRush handed everything over to Senna at the last second there, but that will do it. Big early game aggression. Don't stop once you pump the gas. Hold it down until you have run over your opponent. That is the MO of ZTipzee and Phoenix. That is what has led them to victory in the Horse Discord 2v2 tournament. $200 going to those guys. Big thank you to whoever organized this tournament, to whoever donated to it, who put up the money on the line for these awesome matches to hand out to these players. A big thank you to all those involved being able to put out this tournament and show some great games, some other games as well, but some great 2v2 action for us all to enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed this Best of 7 series, going the distance to the ace match and concluding with ZTipzee and Phoenix as your champions. That will do it for me. Thank you all very much for watching, and this is Sybert signing out.